with Suarez. Goodell comes running in. He's under it, makes the catch. Here's the throw to the plate. It's in the air. He is out! Cameron Rick hangs on! Oh, man, what a play! Deep to right field. Way up there and way second down,
Well, if you want to get them to play good, all you have to do is talk shit on them, and it works. So since we last spoke, the Phillies have riding the ship, especially offensively, and I think just Zach Wheeler being back in the rotation off the paternity list has obviously helped a lot too. The Phillies take 2 out of 3 from the Cubs, then sweep the Blue Jays, and now are in the middle, I guess, no, the end of a series with the Marlins. They've taken the first 2 out of 3. We're recording right before the 4th game. Chris Sanchez on the mound. This game gives me some trap game vibes just because this game should have been played in the afternoon. It's a travel day. They got to go back to Philly. Obviously, the Mets come in tomorrow. The Mets also play tonight, though, so it's not the worst thing because they're in Atlanta where that whole thing is, where they won't play day games during the week because of the parking issue they have or whatever. So same thing with the Mets, who all of a sudden Phillies are just a game back. Would like that to be the worst case scenario heading into this weekend series. Obviously, give the Phillies a chance to take over the division this weekend, but they've looked better. I think Alec Boehm has looked a lot better. Bryson Stott hit a home run on Wednesday night, which was good to see because he was in scary bad territory. Max Kepler's hit a few home runs. Nick Castellanos got benched and then said some things. So a lot going on, but just the main takeaways, the rotation continues to be the rotation. And we're starting to see the phasing out of Jordan Romano a little bit. I don't think he's headed towards a DFA or anything at the deadline, but it's clear they rather trust Kerkering and Strom. Kerkering good, Strom not so much, but that was just something I've noticed this week too.
Yeah, we're 75 games into the season, and I'll be completely honest, I have no idea what to make of them. They won 9 straight, then they lost 9 of 11, then they won 5 straight, and like there's good and the bad for sure, but I think regardless, we can't. You and I know that we can't quit them no matter how bad they are. If they went 0-162, we'd begrudgingly watch every game.
Yeah.
But there's just tendencies and traits about them that make me think sure, there's bad. They have the 4th highest ERA in the 9th inning as a team this year. I saw that tweet by Phillies Tailgate today. They're 27th in the league in 9th inning ERA, which is very, very, very bad. But they have 2 series wins over the Cubs. They have a series win over the Dodgers. They split 4 games with the Giants. They're playing good teams well, and by good teams, I know the record against teams above 500 isn't great. It's a game or 2 above 500 or right around 500. I get that. But they're beating teams or playing teams well that they're going to have to go through in the playoffs, and they're doing it with, even when he was healthy, he wasn't healthy without Bryce Harper being completely healthy. Schwarber's started off really well, and the last month has been pretty so-so since the calendar went to mid-May. Turner's been really good. I think we can finally put the Trey Turner scrub narrative talk to rest. And I have beef with you because you act like you're the Trey Turner whisperer. If you could go back and listen to any of the podcasts that we've done since we signed him, I'm right there with you.
That was never against you. What any of that beef was, that was at the other people.
Yes, but he's been very, very good this year. He's gonna post a great season when the numbers are all said and done, but the numbers are great now. And the starting pitching, as many hiccups as there has been, it's like elite. Luzardo's been, shaky since the whole. I don't know what it was. I assume he was tipping pitches, but like even this last start in Miami wasn't perfect. So
Yeah.
I don't really know if it's a mechanical thing or what. But like if you're getting that out of your number 5, like we've had Taiwan Walker as our number 5 for the last 2 years. So like
True.
Jesus Luzardo as a number 5 is night and day. Mick Abel's been great. Ranger's been like first half Ranger from last season, and Wheeler's obviously Wheeler. So like the starting rotation is going to keep you in, 90% of the games, and that alone is going to get you 85, 90 wins just with the way that rotation goes. So like the offense has been very good, like you said, but I'd still like to see some more power. But like the starting rotation gives you the opportunity and the ability to kind of quote unquote tread water, and it allows them to be a little bit more cautious with Bryce and get him back to where he's not playing, April through May and a half with a wrist injury before he has to hit the IL.
Yeah, that's the other thing. The lack of power. You got Bryce Harper got to get back in there. It sounds like they're going to experiment with the Otto Kemp in left field when Harper does come back. Now, when Harper comes back, I don't know, because I'd like this experiment to happen sooner rather than later. So then you give yourself the trade deadline if it doesn't work out. Like I know, like Rob Refsnyder is someone that's kind of interesting as a platoon guy that won't cost a lot. He's hitting over 300 against lefties this year. So him and Kepler would be a really good platoon. I know Marsh is hot right now, but I still think they need an everyday center fielder. I don't know as big as Jaron Duran, but Cedric Mullins, is he an upgrade? Is Luis Robert an upgrade if he's in a better lineup? See, that's the thing with him. If you put him in a pennant race and put a better lineup around him, is there something there?
This is a terrible take.
I don't know. I don't think he's as bad as those numbers say he is, though. I just don't.
You say this all the time, and it drives me crazy. Like, yeah, put Luis Robert in a lineup where he's going to try. Like, don't you think he's trying to get off of a bad team? I get the argument he doesn't have people to protect him and stuff. He's hitting 150. Babe Ruth isn't protecting that. Like, I don't think he's bad, but for the price that the White Sox are going to act like it's 2020 Lou Bob, it's not going to be worth it.
All right, we'll see. But I think like if the price is down, is he worth a flyer on it?
Sure.
Like if it costs you Dante Nori.
Yes, I'm doing that in a heartbeat. But like last year when it was like, I know it was mostly Crochet, but like a year or two ago when they were like, yeah, we'll start the talks at Miller or Painter. It's like, no, he was hitting 230 then. He's hitting 150 now.
All right.
But if we're talking Dante Nori, then yeah, I'll drive him to the airport myself.
All right. But see, that's what it is. Like it definitely is a price thing with him, but I could be talked into Luis Robert because I feel like I still think there's a gear in there that the White Sox just aren't getting out of him. Because I'll tell you what, if he goes to the freaking Dodgers, I guarantee he hits like 310 with 20 home runs in the second half of the season.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's fair if we're talking relative price. I just haven't seen any rumors in terms of what a price tag looks like in a while, so I'm just like 2 years in the past thinking about when they wanted to start talks with one of our top 2 prospects. And if that's the case, then I'm shutting the door immediately.
Yeah. Anyway, back to the first point. Yeah, Bryce Harper has to come back eventually because they do need the power, especially Schwarber getting cold in June was such a lock with everyone saying how, oh my God, he became June Schwarber before June. Like the season's going to be crazy. I just knew that June was going to be bad. If we could get June Schwarber this weekend against the Mets, that'd be awesome. If he's not going to do it the whole month, if you could give me 3 games where you hit 4 home runs, this would be the time to do it. So think about that Schwarber. That'd be great. But yeah, Bryce has to get back in there from a power standpoint. And we kind of talked about they don't have any righty power. Really, is Kepler at 9 home runs now, or did he finally get to 10? Do they finally have two guys in double digits, or is it still just Schwarber?
I think it still might be just Schwarber.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of an issue. I know you got a bunch of guys like at 8 and 9, so it's not like it's like 22 and then 6, but other guys got to start hitting the ball out of the ballpark. I know Turner has started a little bit, but he's not the guy you really want to do that. You want him to keep doing what he's been doing. I'm talking about like Bohm, Castellanos, Real Muto, more so from the right side. What Kemp is doing is fine. I know he has some home run power in him, but like what he's doing right now is just fine for his role. So that doesn't really matter. But yeah, the lack of power outside of Schwarber with Harper out of the lineup is still a long-term concern for me. And then obviously it's just you got to find bullpen pieces that can get you through October, because this bullpen might get to October. Like so far it's held up, but it's not going to get through October just playing good teams every night. When you have games against teams like the Marlins, you're going to get away with how Matt Strahm pitched the other night. I know it was still close, but any other team, not any other, but, a playoff caliber team, they might lose that ninth inning with the way he pitched. So that's something too that needs to be addressed. But yeah, they're surviving. And again, like you said, I don't know what to make of them because they're still all over the place. There's things you really like, and then things that, I'm like, I don't like. I thought this Castellanos thing has a chance to really nuke the clubhouse. With the way they played on Tuesday, I thought maybe it did. Came back Wednesday, looked really good. At least he did, and the offense did for spurts. But I don't know. I'm still wary of some things, and I think obviously this Mets series and pretty much the stretch through the All-Star break will tell us what we need to know. After that, their schedule is pretty even keel in the second half, and obviously the trade deadline. But the next 3 weeks, how they survive that is really what you have to look at.
Yeah, I mean, like we said, we don't really know. And at this point, if it's 75 games in and we quote unquote don't really know what to make of them, that probably means that they're like good. They're not great, and they're certainly not a bad team. They're one game out of first place, and I don't know, 1 or 2 games off the best record in the National League. I don't know if the Mets still have it, but I think we'll really find out where they're at in this stretch. Like you said, up to the All-Star break, it's the Mets and then a Houston-Atlanta road trip with San Diego right after it at home. And then Cincinnati's like in the wild card, but like not really. Like I don't think Cincinnati's legit.
If we face Lodolo, we know, is he hurt?
No, I think he's been pitching. My friend's trying to trade me in fantasy, so I think
we know he kills them. So
yeah. And then after that, they have to go to San Francisco, which is a known house of horrors for them, and then San Diego.
The whole Devers thing too.
So like
we didn't get into that. Yeah, they have Devers now. So
the 20 games before break are really not gonna make or break, but like I think I'll say this, if they don't play well in these 20 games, we're going to hear they only beat up on bad teams noise. That's going to be all over the place. They're going to be slapped with, the fraud, the same team as last year because they played 500 after June 1st or whatever. Like, it's going to be all that noise. And honestly, like, whether it's, rightfully deserved or not, that's a different argument. But, like, at some point, if you go into the last 2 off seasons planning to run it back, like, you have to make the jump at some point that it's legit. And there's really no better time to have this stretch than right before the All-Star break and trade deadline in year 3 of this core. Like, this 20-game stretch will really tell us if this front office needs to go all in at this deadline, or if, they're going to sit on their hands and play out whatever happens with Schwarber and whatever other extensions with Suarez and everything that needs to be made.
Yeah, the big thing is they just can't let that stretch like nuke them. Like you can't go 6-14, 7-13. I think if they could go win 9, 10, 11 of those games and just tread water to the All-Star break, you feel good. And not good, but like kind of where we're at right now.
Yeah.
If they somehow surprise and win 13 or 14 of those games, then maybe the front office gets more aggressive at the deadline what they see in this stretch. My big thing is, though, like, if we could just tread water through this stretch, get to the All-Star break, get Bryce in there healthy. I know Nola's not going to be around for a little bit, and I want to get to that. But with that 20-game stretch, it just has to be not letting what happened for that week and a half 2 weeks ago become a thing again. When you're can't score a run, you're losing a bunch of games 2-1 and stuff. It just can't happen. I know it's tough competition, but you got to at least tread water through that stretch and come out in a position to make a run in the second half. You don't want this to really blow up in their face, which, I mean, obviously it has the potential to do so.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think right now we're, I guess, 4.5 games up on the last wild card spot. But, when I checked like a week ago, we were going to play San Francisco in the wild card, which I guess we still are because they're the second wild card and we're the first. And it's like right now we'd be hosting, but personally, I'd really enjoy playing well in San Francisco because I feel like we never do. So to give us a peace of mind, seeing that we can handle San Francisco, like you said, they got Devers. I don't love the idea of Logan Webb in game 1 of a playoff series.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
That just feels like a bad recipe for us. Obviously, we'd have Wheeler going if we were able to line it up, but it just seems like they always give us problems, and they have a pretty good bullpen with, I think they still have Camilo Duvall, and this Randy Rodriguez guy is apparently a stud for them now all of a sudden. So, I don't know. I personally would enjoy playing well against the Giants, and obviously, like you said, it's a big stretch regardless, but that's kind of the main series that I'm looking at after this Mets series, just because I don't like when we play the Giants, and they normally perform pretty well against us, so that'd be a good benchmark.
Yeah, I mean, the Giants series, we played pretty good against the Padres there or here. Yeah. So we'll see how that goes. Obviously, every year's different. At Houston, I don't know. We'll see. Houston's an interesting team. They could be good. They're good in stretches. They're actually hot now again, so we'll see how that goes. Atlanta, every time I think Atlanta is out of it, I swear they have a series with the Mets, and they just go off. And then
this is like their first series against the Mets this year.
Yeah. Of course, the Mets get them right. I don't know what it is. No matter how good the Mets are, no matter how bad the Braves are, the second they play, the Braves go on a run. And it's happening right now again, I fear. So we have to keep an eye on that. But the last thing I wanted to talk about was Nola, because he got transferred to 60-day IL today. And I don't know if that was retroactive at all. I didn't look at that. But we're just talking about him being out a bulk of time now. And I know a lot of people are saying, oh, Abel's pitching fine, like that doesn't matter. But when I look at what this team wants to do in October, their big plan has to include Nola being effective as a starter, because you can't play him as a reliever. The goal was to put one of Sanchez, Suarez, Luzardo, if not two of them, into the bullpen to help deepen a bullpen that is clearly not deep and does not have lefties that throw hard. You have Banks and Strom, and they both max out at 93. So Alvarado's not going to be there. I'm thinking, as of the way these guys are performing right now, it might be Luzardo who goes to the pen, but we'll see, obviously. But if that's not the case, I don't think they trust Abel to start a playoff game. I don't know what the situation is going to be with Painter. So I think they need Nola. And I know people don't want to hear that with the way he's pitched this year, but they need him to come back and be healthy for them to enact their playoff plan.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, adding another step to that is the fact that, like you said, I don't know what they think of Abel with how bad the farm system has been this year, aside from, really stat-wise, Justin Crawford.
Even here, yeah.
Painter's been underperforming. With how good Abel's been this month, yes, with Nola being out. It's like, okay, we don't need to rush Nola back. We can, do whatever. We have Abel. Like,
Right.
Abel's been great. He's still 23. So, like, if Dombrowski announced, like, right now, he's like, we're not trading Abel. He's a part of the future. I'd be like, okay. But then the other half is like, you have this core. They are old. You don't know how long your window is going to be open. You're 2 games off of the best record in the National League behind the Dodgers. Like, you're 4.5 games up on a playoff spot. Like, what does headlining a trade package with Mick Abel look like? So it's like, yes, Noah's on the 60-day now, and the first month and a half of his season has not been great, but a good GM would capitalize on what Mick Abel's done for the last month when he's been pitching in the majors and really the entire season with his AAA stats, but proving that he can do it in the big leagues against, pretty good competition. I know the Cubs start wasn't his best stat line since he's been up, but, he worked out of a jam and didn't have a big, run total against them for it and struck out Kyle Tucker with the bases loaded. So, like, he's proven that he can pitch against good teams at the major league level and, provide value and get back to that first round kind of pedigree talent that he was. So, like, I think there's real value there in terms of headlining a trade package. So, like, it'd be great if you can fully trust Noah to get to that starting position that you need him to be, like you said. But I think this transfer and the rib injury to the 60-day IL really complicates things because now you're kind of tightroping the line with what you can do with Abel, because I think it goes back to what do the next 20 games look like before the break. If you put up a good amount of wins in that time, you might, be more willing to trade Abel, saying that you bought yourself some wins and you could wait until Noel gets back and, move Taiwan to the rotation or whatever. But, like, if you struggle but Abel keeps pitching well, you might have to hold on to him and you might have to kind of punt another trade deadline where you don't go all in.
Yeah, so, I mean, this Noel thing does have a lot of ramifications. I know he's not everyone's favorite and he's got on my nerves a lot, but if it's true that he was hurt, well, the initial injury is not even the issue right now. So clearly he was pitching hurt, but I don't know. This rib thing is so bizarre. I apparently did it from coughing. I don't know how he coughed so hard that it caused a 90-day injury we're looking at pretty much. It's just a really bizarre situation. A guy that's really only been on the IL once before in his career, and now this happens. So it's just super weird. But yeah, I mean, they are going to at least need him and see what he looks like. And if it's bad, okay, maybe he's not on the playoff roster. But if it's good, you're in a lot better shape at the deadline. But of course, now he's out past the deadline, so the Abel thing does become a factor. So, and, something to keep an eye on with Nola. Obviously, still waiting on Harper. Don't know how that is. From what Rob Thompson said, the doctors cleared him. It's just on him and pain management. So I don't know what the hell that means in terms of what's wrong with him, but another bizarre one. So 2 really bizarre injuries that we can't really make much sense out of because we have no idea when either of them happened or how they happened. So weird times on the IL front, but overall a little better. Need to see how they perform the first half of this tough stretch coming up, and then we'll adjust expectations again, I feel like.
Yeah, it's definitely weird. The broken rib, whatever, throws me off. But they're playing inconsistently well enough to the point where it hasn't been a major issue so far.
Right.
But we keep harping on it. The next month will tell us a lot.
It will. So we'll be back at some point between the middle of this stretch before the All-Star break. So probably 2 more, one in the middle and then one at the end, right at the All-Star break. So we will talk to you then.